Hi guys, I'm Shmee. Hello and welcome back to the channel where today you join me to take a very first look at the brand new Toyota GR Supra. The 5th generation Supra is now fully here, fully unveiled. The camouflage has been removed and it's been presented to the world at the 2019 North American International Auto Show in Detroit. Now I'm here with Toyota in their studio outside of Brussels, Belgium, to take a look at the car, to go for a walk around, to show you all the ins and outs of the exterior and the interior. And I can also announce at this stage that I've actually placed a deposit for one of these cars myself, and I'll tell you more about that later on. So let's get started then and take a good and thorough look at the brand new Toyota GR Supra. I'm going to go into a lot of detail about the new car for you, but let's start with a walk around just to take in the design. Of course, we're talking about a front-engined, rear-wheel drive, small sports car. It achieves the golden ratio of 1.55 in terms of the ratio between the wheelbase and the width. As we come around, the design is courageous, it's aggressive. You can tell some of the styling cues that we could see when it was covered in that distinct black, red and white camouflage, now fully unveiled though, very much sportiness all around. You've got the 19-inch wheels. This particular car, by the way, is the GR Supra A90 Edition, only 90 of which are going to be made in the matte storm grey paintwork out of the already exclusive 900 Club, the first 900 Supras that are being delivered to the European market in the first year of build. It's a 2020 model year, and as we come back around towards the front, you can see that extended long front bonnet, some of the styling cues that have come from the previous generations over the years, harking all the way back to the Toyota 2000 GT, which really started this form factor off. Now, it's a project that's been developed in partnership with BMW, so you have the 3-litre inline-6 turbocharged engine making 340 horsepower, 500 newton meters. You've got an 8-speed automatic gearbox, but the design is where this car really comes into its own. Signature features like the double bubble that you have up on the roof, the headlights that wrap right around towards the front nose cone, very reminiscent of the Toyota FT1 concept that we saw about 4 or 5 years ago now, that really introduced the idea for where this car was going to go with its quite pointed front nose. You can see the openings, aggressive styling again, but all for cooling towards the engine. In fact, the styling all around the car is really quite aggressive. Let's come and have a quick look at the interior as well, where you've got that swoop, which is about making the cabin look like it positions backwards, but the bonnet looking like it positions leaning over towards the front, poised with intent. Then on the inside, you've got digital displays. This particular car, as the launch edition, has red for the driver zone and black areas for the passenger, just to make it really driver focused. You've seen the digital needle sweep. We'll come back and have a proper look at all of the screens as well very shortly, but you have your infotainment system there in the center as well. I really like the red and black. In fact, I think this interior specification, this whole specification for the A90 Edition is the way to go if you get that opportunity. There's a lot of luggage space in the rear, of course, strictly a 2-seater, where the Z4, the sister car, is the roadster only. This car is available just as the coupe. And then at the back, you have that prominent ducktail spoiler. Down towards the lower section, those large exhaust tailpipes with the aggressive design to the diffuser. So this is clearly a good-looking car, but let's get into things now in more detail. Up to this point, the car has been known under its code name, the A90 Supra, which followed the lineage from the A40, the A60, A70, and the most well-known of all, the A80, that was in production until 2002 and made particularly famous in the Fast and the Furious movie franchise. For now, though, we have a new name, and this is actually really quite interesting. So the car has been launched as the Toyota GR Supra. GR for Gazoo Racing, Toyota's motorsport division, of course responsible for success at the Le Mans 24 Hours, for their rallying activities, and many other motorsport championships and events. And this car is going to go on to be taking part in different race series like the Japanese Super GT. They'll be racing in the US. They've been taking part at events at the Nürburgring too, where a lot of development of this car was done. But where that has all come from is that this is the first of a number of future models to come directly from GR, to be developed by their motorsport division, even though we're talking about the car that is built for the road. So it is the GR Supra. The A90 name no longer, of course, literally exists, although this being the A90 Edition celebrates that early development work. It's been quite a long lead time until the arrival of the car. We've been having teasers almost, I think, for over a decade now, but this is the very final one, the production specification for the new GR Supra. To come in closer then to parts of the designs, there are a few things you will notice immediately. For example, the headlights with their 6 lenses. We'll look at those in a second. You also have the gloss black A-pillars, which just differentiate and again add some sportiness to the car. You have all of these lines, for example here, that accentuate the height and width of the rear arches all the way round to the lip spoiler at the very back. But let's start, I think, in detail from the very front and come down towards the nose cone, which is really very pointed, and perhaps the camouflage hid some of these lines, the sharpness of the lines, but it comes down towards the front where of course it has to wear a number plate, and flanked either side by the headlights with the running light that comes in, strikes in within. Around the outside of those you have the openings, again just showing the width of the car, because it's really built from the start as a sports car, which means it is lightweight, it is wide, it has a short wheelbase, it's designed to be fun to drive, and you can see also that with the styling. So you come down towards the bottom, lots of openings through the radiators, the cooling, the sharpness of those add-ons around the splitter, aero work of course, because this car can do 0 to 100 kilometers an hour, 62 miles per hour in just 4.3 seconds. Their target was under 5. It has launch control, and thanks to the 8-speed gearbox, it can do it in just over 4.3, and onto a top limited speed of 250 kilometers an hour. That's 155 miles per hour. So just to come into those headlights then, have a look at the 6 lenses that you have inside there that house the turn signals, the daytime running lights down at the bottom, and you also have those red touches that you can find on the inside. And this particular specification in the storm grey, with those red accents, for example, the red brake calipers, and the red trim to the interior, is a very, very, very nice contrast. I like that a lot. And of course the Toyota badge worn there at the very front, and we will pop open the bonnet shortly. But just to come back, those front flanks are widened by the use of that styling cue towards the rear. Not necessarily functional, it might be nice to see that as an outlet for air cooling, but we'll forgive that for the moment. And then coming down, you've got some shaped side skirts as well, enhancing the aggression down towards those rear arches, which if we just take a look at that view, you can see how this translates to a racing car, how it's going to be made even wider, and how you'll get aero benefits as a result. Then up on the top, you've got that double bubble style to the roof, which is really quite nice, especially with the sharpness of the lines that you have running the length of it. And we also have some satin black mirror caps, contrasting again but fitting with the paintwork of the car, and satin black wheels as well, the specific wheel that you find on the A90 Edition. And then to bring us round to the rear, you have this line that starts from the add-on piece on the doors that then comes over the arches and brings you around towards the rear spoiler, which itself is integrated into the rear deck lid. Of course it's a hatchback, the glass opens as well, and there is a lot of luggage space in there that we'll see in a moment as well. But then the lines back here, it's one of my favourite angles, although admittedly there is quite a lot going on. You have the 3D shape to the tail lights, surrounded by that line that runs all the way back, and you'll see that it swoops down to quite a small rear end, of course for aerodynamic shapes, that kind of thing. And then down at the bottom, it's enhanced by those additional add-ons at the side. Again, that line that you can see that runs up towards the tail light. You've got those chunky exhaust tailpipes, one on each side, and then in the centre of the rear bumper, you also have the reversing light, sort of almost Formula 1 style. You have that at the back, and the nose actually at the front almost points in that kind of direction too. And obviously back here you've got the GR badge on the right hand side, the Toyota Supra logo worn underneath the badge in the centre of the rear deck. But it is very clearly a sporty looking thing. We're also going to hear the sound of that exhaust very shortly, by the way. So let's just come round and pop open the engine and have a look at what we've got under there. So to do so, this is on the driver's side of the car. Open the door, just come down towards the footwell, a double pull of the lever just to release it. One of the similarities that you'll notice from BMWs, for example, no catch then to lift it up. Where in here we are greeted by the 3-litre twin-power turbo inline 6, 340 PS, it's just under in terms of brake horsepower, and then 500 newton meters, quite significantly more again than the original intention, which was to make over 300 newton meters of torque. All of that going to the rear wheels via the 8-speed automatic gearbox. Close this back down, of course it's all hiding away under the cover, again with the red touches. Quite a few of those around, which just, I guess, is the colour of GR and gives some nice continuity to the design and style of it. So let me take a step inside. First time then, taking a seat in the future car to join the garage. So, in here, the first things you will notice are the dual digital displays. You have the floating tablet style screen for the infotainment. That's an 8.8 inch screen. You also have the second 8.8 inch screen for the digital dashboard, which has this 3D style effect around the central rev counter. If I just then put my foot on the brake, right here, we have the button to start it up. And into life it comes. So we can have a quick look around and have a play through some of the buttons in here. You've got a few different modes. For example, you have the sport mode button right here. You can also put the car into track mode, but one press of that, you'll notice changes a few small details. For example, the rev counter. It also shows us on the central screen your configuration, because you can actually change exactly how this works. So if we go through configuring the individual side of things, you can see the damping, the steering, the engine, the transmission. The car also has an active differential. So all of this is controlled depending on the different mode you're in. And obviously your whole system up here can be controlled touchscreen as well, should you prefer, with the tiles. Again, some part of the car that's been developed with BMW, so highly developed and a good system in terms of the integration that it has available. On the display in front of us, on the left side, of course, you've got the fuel gauge, you've got the digital screen here, which has a readout for the current speed limit, also your digital speedo. Then you have the illuminated rev counter around the central internal display, which you can see moves like so. Then to the right side you'd have additional trip information, and then the engine temperatures over at the very far right. But one of the big things about the dashboard is that it's a very horizontal style. You can see that the way the air vents are done all the way straight across the dashboard. It's driver focused, but it is actually outside of the realms of what is normally allowed inside a Toyota model in terms of the visibility, because you have these very, very, very narrow side windows. And of course, although the bonnet is quite low, it does extend out a long way in front of you. The steering wheel itself, familiar in terms of the buttons and lots of the things that you do notice from a BMW model, but the adaptive cruise control, for example, you have the lovely red grips here, which I think contrast nicely with the black. All your light controls over to the left, your usual mirror window controls. You've got the button down there to open the boot, the sound system, the JBL system fitted to this car. Then you can see, if you look at the driver's zone in general, you've got this almost grab handle, I would say, but it separates out the driver zone from the passenger zone, something that was introduced on the FT1 concept that's made it through to the production car. You've got some carbon fiber trim in here around the central controls, and everything feels good quality, well made, and very nice. So you've got the climate control. Above that you've got some hotkeys, so you can control and preset these exactly where they'll go and what they'll take you through to. Up here I'm just playing and learning as I go, really. We have my vehicle, where you can set things. You can go to the sport displays, where you can see the power and torque charts live, so while you're driving that would give you some information available through those screens. Then down towards the armrest you've got the dual cup holders. I have the key for the car right here if you're interested. This is exactly what the key looks like, again with the red accent around the outside of it, and a few buttons and controls and a hotkey that you can configure as well. There's also a little cubby storage here at the back behind those cup holders. So generally speaking, you've got a fairly small door pocket and a decent sized glove box. Obviously not too much by way of storage up front, but there is a lot of space available in the back, and it does go straight through. So, I mean, as I can demonstrate here, you can get straight through to the rear compartment from the front, which you'll see when I open up the hatchback in a second. Now, a lot of people, of course, get quite sensitive about floating navigation screens, but this actually, I surprisingly like it. Normally I don't, but I'm not offended by this at all. It's beneath the eye line from where I'm sitting, so I can see over towards the long bonnet out in front. But just to, I think, switch it off for a moment, let's head round and just have a quick look at the amount of available space in the boot. So to do so, press the button here. Of course, you can also open it from the key, and then lift this up, where you can see the amount of space that's available, and exactly what I was saying about how it goes straight on through. So you've got a lot of room available. You can take out the parcel shelf and there's enough space for a set of golf clubs or whatever it may be, or if you're, let's say, going on a trip or an adventure, you can fit more than enough bits of luggage in the back. The only thing to perhaps consider is that it is quite a narrow opening and it is quite high. You do have to lift your luggage over the rear deck and fit it in through that small opening to actually manage to get things in back there. However, that is not a deal breaker at all. Closes with a nice thud too, and then you have the lovely shape of the car. Now, of course, the specification we're looking at here is the A90 Edition. So in the matte storm grey paintwork with the red interior, there will be 90 of these in total, of course, to commemorate the A90 codename designation. Those 90 won't be individually numbered, but each customer will get a certificate that says it is one of the 90 cars, and even those come from the initial 900. So the Supra 900 Club are the first 900 that are available through Europe to different markets, the key markets being the UK and Germany, and then elsewhere as well, of course. And out of those is where I managed to place my order. And in fact, after driving the car and getting an initial feel for it, I was really quite keen on adding a two-seat sports car to the garage, which is why I followed the process really quite closely. And when originally European orders opened, actually on the day of the Paris Motor Show, the UK orders didn't go live at that point. They started ever so slightly later, but when they did, I was actually out in Canada at the time and made sure that I grabbed my laptop, got online at the minute they opened, and was fortunate enough, it turns out since, to actually have been the first person in the UK to place an order for the new Supra. So I guess that means my car is probably going to be the first one to arrive, and I might have the option to order it in the launch edition specification, which is really quite an exciting position to be in. I got completely lucky there, and somehow it happened. I'm just the person who sits there and does exactly that, as I've done with some other cars that I've bought and have added to the garage since. So yeah, that's a genuine, real story that actually happened. I woke up in the night in Canada, placed my order, and well, I'm looking forward to it coming. They're saying deliveries will start in late summer, so that'll be August, September time, I guess. And yeah, one of those is going to be added to the garage when the time comes. One thing that I haven't actually shown you yet are the lights turned on. So let's just come through and switch on the headlights and the tail lights so that you can see these. So just inside here, we've got the button, one press, and we can come around and have a quick look at those illuminated. So the upper level of the lens is lit up, and also that extended silhouette that you can see around the bottom, that shape that's pretty distinct to this car. And then also around the rear, similar kind of situation with a tail light design that is completely, I guess, unique to the GR Supra. And that's the thing about the design. There are highlights and design cues from previous models, but they have created the car with its own identity, its own design, overall appearance and styling. As if by magic, the grey car has turned into a red one. So what we're looking at here is one of the standard colour options available for the new Supra. This is the active specification. So you have two different levels. Active is the base level, and then premium above that. So even at active level, you get a lot of the safety and technology features. You get the LED headlights. You get, as you can see on this car, the contrasting wheels with the polished finish. You still have, and what is actually quite nice, is all the black finished parts, the aero parts, contrasting also against the red paintwork. And then on the interior, just to show you in here, you still have all of the digital displays. You have the Alcantara seats as opposed to the leather seats. The leather seats that we saw on the earlier car are the upgrade as part of the premium package, which also gives you the JBL sound system as standard. The head-up display that you can also opt if you want to have that, and the speakers, for example, but wouldn't come as standard on the active specification. So I do actually quite like the red, but there is certainly something to be said for the A90 Edition, given the heritage and the connection and the link back, and, well, I guess as well, the rarity value of it. Let's just come around to the front so you can see how the front end looks on this particular model too. It's just those nice contrasts that you get against the bright paintwork. You can have the car in red, in yellow, in blue, and a number of different colours that are available as standard from new. But there we more or less have it then, a first look and walk around at the new Toyota GR Supra. Of course, it brings in some of what they learned with their successes at Le Mans, also with the manufacturer's title at the World Rally Championship, into the car that we now know the full name and full details about. And as I said, one that is soon, later this year, to be arriving in my garage as well. So I hope you've enjoyed this first look. No doubt I'll get an opportunity at some point in the not too distant future to take you for a drive as well, to see what it's like to actually push the car when it's fully revealed in its final glory. So thank you very much for watching. Make sure to be subscribed for all of the updates, including what specification I'll be going for, delivery when the time comes, and hopefully some more videos to come with the new Supra. So thanks again for watching, guys. I appreciate your support, and I'll see you again very soon. Cheers.